listening right now, you're in the right place. It's Club Grief, Season 2. Let's talk. Faith. How does faith fit in with grief? Well, let's talk about it. Do you have faith? Have you had faith? Did you lose your faith when you lost someone? I had faith when I was younger. I was baptized in the Catholic Church. I did my first Holy Communion. I did my confirmation. It was kind of cool. I got to pick a certain name. The name was Jude, after St. Jude, not the Beatles song. And the priest said, Glenn Philip Jude Darby. So Jude was my confirmation name. So having faith as a child was automatic, since my mother was Catholic and my father Protestant. And I followed along the lines of religion until my late teens, early 20s. And I started to question it because I learned about philosophy, and I looked within inside myself and realized that perhaps I didn't believe in the tradition of what the Catholic Church was preaching about the old white guy with a beard in the sky in the clouds, and took a more realistic view of what religion is and was at the time. And as cliche as it sounds, like many other people I've heard say, I survived the Catholic Church and I left. And at the time when I said that, it seemed a cool thing to say. And now that I'm no longer in the Catholic Church or associated with the Catholic Church or any kind of Christianity, I'm now more of a spiritual person. And you'll hear that quite often. But something happened recently that made me kind of rethink my association with the divine. And let me share that with you. Recently, on another podcast, I heard a host interviewing an actor whose work I do admire. I'm not a so-called fan, but I do admire his work. I won't say the names right now. Perhaps at the end I will, to thank them. And they were talking about faith and how it affected their lives, and especially the actor, how it guided him and what he was doing with his life. And the host talked about his father. And usually before, I would think, okay, well, that's just people talking about, they want to talk about God and what it means and so forth like that, and what their religion means. But something I can't explain to you what happened, but something inside me feels like it was awakened by what they were talking about. And I haven't had that feeling in many, many years. Even when my mother passed away on June 14, 2020, suddenly, without any warning, across the country, I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll go to a Catholic church around where I was living in Santa Monica, California, and light a candle for her. Because she always said to me, when you're feeling distraught or lost, say a prayer, light a candle, talk to St. Jude, of course, my confirmation name, St. Jude, the patron saint. And I went to the Catholic Church, but I didn't feel anything. I felt no connection. I looked around, it was just nothing. But I did light a candle in her name, and it didn't really dawn on me that this was something for me. And I didn't need it in my life at the time. But over the years, I've heard people talk about faith and their religion or belief. I don't think faith necessarily has to do with religion. I think you can have faith in many things and faith in a type of divine or being or universe, whatever you want to call it. So I started thinking, perhaps there is more to this than I know. Perhaps I should open myself up a little more since my wife Heidi passed away. And I remember a couple people, one of my doctors, my yoga teacher saying, now, they said, Glenn, now there's an angel watching over you. And I have these moments where I feel that. And there is something more. Whatever you want to call it is fine. But I just want to say at this moment, thank you, Mr. Washington. Thank you, Mr. Corden, for talking about your faith. Because you're talking about faith, I have found my faith again. So how about you? Have you found faith in your grief journey?